Creators on Instagram and YouTube are telling you they've automated their entire marketing with AI. The posts, the scripts, the funnels. But have you actually looked at what they're producing? Most AI content systems don't create clients, they create volume. The businesses that are automating content production are generally producing AI slop that does nothing commercial for the brand except damage it. The reality is AI doesn't build a content engine on its own. A real content engine needs strategy, context, packaging, and human judgment, with AI doing the middle work. I'm Laura Craig, and for the last 20 years, I've been responsible for the marketing of more than 350 businesses, including Unilever, L'Oreal, and Carlton United Brewery. And in this episode, I'll show you the 6-part AI content engine we use to turn one idea into LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, and newsletter content that actually brings in clients, starting with the foundation most people skip. Part 1. Build a brand brain before you automate anything. The first thing, and the most important, is to build a brand brain. A brand brain is a single document that teaches AI exactly who you are, how you think, who you serve, and the sentences you would never say. It's not a prompt, it's a foundation. And it's the reason your AI output either sounds like you or sounds like it could be for any other brand. Here's why it matters in the grand scheme. AI is only as good as the context you give it. If you've ever sat there frustrated because Claude or ChatGPT wrote something that's technically fine but doesn't sound like you, the problem isn't the AI. The problem is that you've never told it who you are or not given it enough information. You've typed act as a marketing expert and expected magic. Of course it sounded generic. You gave it nothing specific to work with. So here's what goes into a brand brain. There are about 6 layers. The first is identity, your background, your credibility, the brands you've worked with, the numbers that matter. The second is your belief system, what you stand for, the contrarian views you'll defend, the things you push back on. The third is your positioning, your position in the market, your messaging strategy, your brand promise, your secret sauce or your competitive advantage. The fourth is your voice and tone, how you sound when you're writing for real, with specific phrases you use and specific phrases you avoid. The fifth is audience. Who are you talking to? What are they struggling with? What are they quietly hoping for? And the sixth is examples, your best performing posts, scripts, emails, so AI can pattern match what actually is already working for you. Here's what changed when we built ours. Before the brand brain, every draft we got from Claude or ChatGPT needed rewriting. After, the drafts came back about 80% there. I rewrite the opening and the closing and the conviction lines, and then I'm done. So here's what you could do this week. Block out half a day, open a markdown file, write out those 6 layers in plain language, the way that you'd explain it to a business or a senior marketer joining your team on day 1. Drop in a voice note of yourself talking about what you do, transcribed. Drop in your 3 best posts, your 3 best emails, and save it. Load it into Claude as a project. From now on, every piece of content you start with starts with this basic brand brain you've attached. And here's the thing most people miss. The brand brain travels with you. It's not a YouTube file or a LinkedIn file. It's a you file. The same brain writes for your video script, your LinkedIn post, your Instagram caption, your newsletter section. One foundation, every platform. That's just the foundation. Now here's where it actually starts paying off. Part 2, mine your sales calls. Sales calls are one of the most valuable inputs you have. Every other content research method, Reddit, Threads, Google Trends, viral post analysis, gives you data your competitors also have. They're scraping the same forums, they're studying the same viral posts. If you build content from those inputs, your content could sound like theirs. But your sales calls, these are specific to your business, and no one else has access to the words your clients actually use when they describe their pain they're living with. Nobody else heard the exact moment in the conversation when they decided you were the right fit. That language is proprietary and it's incredibly powerful copywriting input. Here's how the workflow works. All of our sales calls are recorded. We have an AI note taker with the transcript. Then we drop the transcript into Claude. And we've built a skill called the Sales Conversion Analyzer. It does 4 jobs. It pulls out the exact phrases a client used to describe their problem. It identifies emotional drivers. What were they frustrated by? What were they quietly hoping for? It maps the moment they shifted from skeptical to ready to buy, and it surfaces the objections that nearly stopped them. So here's how we apply this. Start recording every single sales call from this week onwards, with permission, obviously. Transcribe them. Once a month, sit down with the transcripts and pull out 3 things from each one. The exact phrasing they used to describe their problem, the moment something landed, the objection that almost killed the deal. Drop these into a running document. That document becomes the raw material for everything you write. Your hooks, your captions, your subject lines, your real openings. When your content uses the actual words your buyers say out loud, your content stops sounding like everything else on the internet and starts sounding like the conversations they were already having in their own head. That's content that actually converts. And it's content nobody else can copy because they don't have your sales calls. And once you've got that raw material, the question becomes, how do you make sure that the right person sees it? Part number 3. Packaging is 80% of success. Here's the part a lot of founders underspend on, and it's the biggest leak in any content engine. It's the packaging. Packaging is everything that decides whether someone stops scrolling. On YouTube, it's the thumbnail and the title. On LinkedIn, it's the first line, the tile, or the carousel cover. On Instagram, it's the first frame of the reel and the first 3 words of the caption. On email, it's the subject line and the preview text. Different format, exact same job. Make someone stop and take notice. Here's why this matters more than the content itself. You can write the best post in the world, but if the first 3 words don't earn the next 3, nobody reads the rest. You can record a brilliant reel, but if the cover frame is your face mid-blink, nobody taps. So here's the framework I use. For every piece of content, I work the package into 4 layers. Layer 1 is the hook line, the first sentence of the post, the title of the video, the subject line of the email, the cover text on the reel. I'll generate 10 to 15 variations of this in Claude using my brand brain, not because I'll use all of them, but because writing 10 to 15 version lets me select something really strong. Layer 2 is the visual. The thumbnail, the tile design, the carousel cover, the reel cover frame. I keep references of visuals that have outperformed in all spaces, all different spaces for clients. We then brief a designer or use AI to mock something up roughly and then add branding and headline copy. Layer 3 is the structural promise. Does the first 100 words deliver on what the hook implied? If the hook says the 3 things I won't automate and the post doesn't get to those 3 things until paragraph 6, the package is broken. Layer 4 is consistency across platforms. Same core idea, but the package is rebuilt for each platform. You don't post the same package everywhere. You repackage it for platform scroll behavior. So here's what to do. Pick your next piece of content. Before you write the body, write 15 versions of the hook, mock up the visuals, run the structural promise test. Does the first paragraph deliver what the hook implied? If yes, publish. If not, fix the package before publishing the content. That's how you'll get noticed. Now here's how you keep watching, reading, and acting. That's how you'll get noticed. Now here's how you keep them watching, reading, and acting. Part number 4. Write the first draft with AI and then finish the first 20% and the last 20% by hand. This is the rule that separates content that converts from content that sounds suspiciously polished or suspiciously AI. Let AI write the middle, but never let AI write the start or the end. Here's why this matters. The first 30 seconds of a video, the first 3 lines of a LinkedIn post, the first frame of a reel, the subject line of an email, Those are the moments that really matter to a reader when they decide if they'll trust you or not. If those feel like AI, no one stays. And the closing line, the conviction, the invitation, the bit that lands emotionally, that's the moment they decide whether to act. Hand either of those to AI and you'll get something technically incorrect and completely forgettable. So here's how drafting process actually works for me. I'll brief Claude with an idea, the angle, the platform, who it's for, and what I want the reader to feel by the end. The brand brain is loaded, the skill is dialed in, and Claude returns a draft. I read it once, and then I do 4 things. I rewrite the opening by hand, always. I take the concept Claude gave me, I throw out the words, I write the first lines, and I'd say them out loud, like the way I'd actually say them if I was talking to a person. That's the part that has to feel genuine, not generated. I rework the conviction lines. Anywhere the draft is saying what I actually believe, I rewrite it in my own words. AI versions of conviction always seem to come out a bit polished and hollow. You can feel the difference, even if you can't name it. I swap in real client language. From the sales call document, wherever the draft is using generic phrases, I replace it with the exact words a real client used. That single move is what stops content sounding like AI more than anything else. Then I read the close out loud. If the closing line doesn't make me feel something when I say it, I rewrite it until it does. That's my quality test. Does this make me feel something when I read it back? If I feel nothing, they will too. Everything in the middle, the structure, the explanations, the supporting points, the transitions, Claude can handle that. That's where AI earns its place. The middle is where AI saves you hours. The start and the end is where the brand lives. Here's the principle behind all of this. AI tends to flatten. This is what it does by default. It pulls every voice towards the same statistical center. The work of writing as yourself in 2026 is the work of putting you back in the center of it, adding your humanness back into it. Your refusal to let AI start and end is the only thing protecting your voice from becoming wallpaper. So tactically, every piece of content gets 4 passes. Brief Claude, review the opening, rework the conviction lines, swap in real client language, read the close out loud. That's the workflow. It takes about 15 minutes per piece, and that's the difference between the content sounding generic and sounding truly like you. Now that you've got the drafting sorted, here's where most people stall, and it's not where you think. Part 5. Repurpose one idea into 5 formats before you generate the next one. So many founders generate a new idea every single time they post. Monday, it's a LinkedIn post about positioning. Wednesday, it's a reel about AI. Friday, it's a newsletter about pricing. 3 different ideas, 3 different angles, 3 different audiences, no compounding. Their feed feels busy, but nothing lands. The move is to do the opposite. One idea, 5 formats, then move on. Here's why this matters. The same person sees you on multiple platforms. They scroll past your LinkedIn post on Monday, half register it. Scroll past the reel of the same idea on Tuesday, register it more, see a carousel of it on Wednesday, and finally stop to re-engage or engage for the first time on Thursday. Repetition across formats is how an idea actually lands in someone's head. One and done is how ideas evaporate. So here's the repurposing system. Every idea you take to market, commit to 5 formats before you move on. The first format is the long form anchor, usually a YouTube video, a podcast, a 1,200 word blog or newsletter, or for our clients, it would be to be recorded on an interview. This is where the full thinking lives. Everything else is cut from this. The second format is the LinkedIn posts or the social posts, 150 to 250 words lifted from the strongest section of the anchor with the hook rewritten for the platform. The third format is a carousel, 6 to 10 slides, 1 idea per slide, designed to be screenshot worthy. This format works hard on LinkedIn and Instagram. Fourth format is the real or short. 30 to 60 seconds, single idea, sharp hook in the first 1.5 seconds. The fifth format is email or newsletter. The same idea, written for someone who actually trusts you with one tactical instruction. Here's the tactical play. Sit down once a week, pick an idea, build the long form anchor first, then cut the other formats directly from the anchor. Same words, repackaged. That's the leverage. And here's the deeper move. When you commit to one idea across 5 formats, you're forced to test which version of the idea actually lands. The reel teaches you the hook. The carousel teaches you the structure. The LinkedIn post teaches you the headline. By the time you've packaged the same idea 5 ways, you understand it better than anyone else in the market. Repurposing isn't just efficient, it's how you get sharper. Now let me show you the move that takes all of this and turns it into actual clients. Part number 6, reverse engineer every piece of content from a specific next action. Here's the question that separates content that builds an audience from content that builds a business. What do you want the reader to do next? Most founders publish without answering that question, and their content becomes activity instead of compounding. A post goes up, people scroll, nothing happens. There's no next step, no journey, no path from saw your content to spoke to you to paid you. So here's your next move. Reverse engineer every piece from a specific next action. Why this matters? Content without a next action is brand building, not business building. There's a place for brand building. It earns trust and lets the business building work. But if every single post is brand building with no path forward, you're entertaining an audience instead of qualifying buyers. The two aren't the same. Here's the framework I use. Before I write anything, I answer 3 questions. The first question is, who is this for? Not founders or marketers, more specific. A founder doing 500K to 3 million that has a small marketing team knows that AI is important, but doesn't know where to start. The more specific the person, the sharper the writing. The second question is, what do they need to believe by the end? 1 sentence. They need to believe AI amplifies what's already there, not replaces it. That belief shift is the entire job of the piece. The third question is, what's the next action that proves they believed it? This is where most content falls short. The next action has to be specific and easy. Reply to this email, DM me, save this post, reply with the word brain and I'll send you the framework. Book a 20-minute call, subscribe to the growth engine. 1 clear next step. Then track which content produced which next action, which post produced replies, which video produced bookings, which carousel got saved. The patterns show up fast. After a month, you'll know exactly what kind of content moves people to act. Then you'll stop guessing. That's how content becomes a business engine, not by going viral, by moving the right people in the right order towards the right action. If you want help building any of this for your business, the brand brain, the skills, the strategy underneath it, that's exactly what we do at Vivo Marketing. We sit alongside founders and marketing teams and build the systems inside the business. You can find us at vivomarketing.com.au. So here's the whole system in one breath. Build a brand brain before you automate anything, because AI without context flattens you. Mine your sales calls, because that's the only copywriting input no one else can copy. Treat packaging as 80% of the work, because if nobody stops scrolling, the content might as well not exist. Let AI write the middle, but always write the start and the end. Take one idea and ship it to 5 formats before you generate the next idea. And reverse engineer every piece from a specific next action. If you want to go deeper on the messaging side of this, how to get your messaging tight before you scale it, DM me or find me at vivomarketing.com.au and let's chat.